am Jamie Buckland with the West Virginia Few, Families United for Education. I am talking today with my friend Urvi from Great Minds Virtual. Urvi, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got connected with Great Minds?
That sounds great. Thank you, Jamie, for having me again on your wonderful show and reaching out to families about school choice and options that they have. My name is Urvi Morrison. I'm the head of the virtual school at Great Minds. I got connected to Great Minds about a year ago now, a little under a year ago, and I was just in love with the model, the concept, the philosophy of providing a really high quality, rigorous virtual education to students across the country now that so many of us have experienced virtual education through the pandemic starting in March 2020 all the way until some cases now. And we know that there are some really good options for virtual schools and some really great options for virtual schools. And we are here to provide a great option for free to families that are interested in this model.
I love that. Yeah. So we're seeing here in West Virginia, of course, in response to the injunction being placed on Hope Scholarship, we're seeing now 3,000 families trying to sort through their options and figure out what is going to be the best fit for their child. And so for many of them who do not need an in-person setting, they're looking to keep their children at home this year, but they may or may not feel super confident about being the sole instructor for their 5 required subjects. So you guys are serving 6th grade this year. Can you talk a little bit about the launch of this 6th grade program and how you're meeting the demand that you have right now with it being a national program? So you're going to have East Coast, West Coast. So can you talk a little bit about meeting that demand?
Yes, of course. So as you said, we're opening with 6th grade in the fall. Every year from here on, we'll add an additional grade. So eventually we will be a 6 through 12 school. And it's great for us right now to be starting with 6th grade because we're aiming for small class sizes and that first cohort of students to be small so that we can really ensure student to teacher, small ratios, and high engagement, as well as peer-to-peer engagement. And as you said, Jamie, we do have a high demand because we're nationwide. And so we're working to manage that by putting our students by time zone in various sections. And so, for example, we'll have an East Coast section and they'll function on East Coast time. We'll have a Central time section and they'll focus on Central time hours. And so that's allowing us, our students, to still be able to interact with their classmates from potentially around the country, while also being able to learn at a reasonable hour for what works for their families. So we're really excited to be able to offer that option to families. And then as we grow and have more students and more grades and more teachers, we'll continue to expand how many sections we have to maintain those small class sizes, which we think is vital for teaching and learning.
Yeah, I saw just not long ago that you guys had a teacher training. Your teachers were there together. I saw that on Facebook, which is exciting. Can you talk a little bit about their credentials? Who is getting hired on with Great Minds, and what does the staffing look like right now? Are there specific teachers per subject, or one teacher for that entire classroom? What does that look like?
Sure. So this is probably the most exciting thing for me to talk about because we did a nationwide search for our teachers that started in November 2021. So we made sure we gave ourselves a ton of time to find the best of the best. So we had 3,800 applicants for just 6 teaching positions. So we really do feel that we got the best of the best. And because it was a nationwide search, our teachers come from all over the country as well. So it mirrors our student population in many ways. We have 1 teacher per subject area. And as we grow, we'll have more teachers per subject area. But right now it's just 1. So we've got a math teacher, science, English, Spanish, applied science and art, and history. Those are our 6 classes. And what we looked for in our teachers when we were doing the hiring process and recruitment was that not only were they subject matter experts in the the course that they were teaching, but that they were virtual instruction experts as well, and that they were able to jump inside a classroom in a virtual space and make our students feel cared, loved for, heard, but then also able to deliver that rigorous curriculum that Great Minds is known for. So we're really excited and proud. And if anyone's interested in meeting our teachers, we have open houses, a couple more this summer that are running, where our teachers are making introductions about both themselves and the curriculum that they're going to teach.
I think you have one today, right? Do you have one today? So what time is that on the East Coast?
Yes, on the East Coast, it's 7 p.m. and it's on Zoom. Our link can be found on our website. And
We'll drop it in our comments too. Everywhere where this is streaming, we'll make sure that we put that in there, because that would be great for interested families to go ahead and catch that, so they can get familiar. I want to say, as a homeschool mom, there have been different seasons in our homeschool where we just get by. And it's like, okay, we're in this season where we may not be getting to spend as much time on mastering long division as we would like to spend that time. So it may not be like the best of the best. And it's that kind of approach to education has to be seasonal, because there will be holes by the end of that child's education that you're like, well, how many seasons were there where we were just getting by? And I think my two that have graduated would give great testimony to that, especially with us having two younger ones. But then there have been seasons where we've been able to really have a strong approach to their education. But now, looking back over these 15 years, what I would say to parents is that you kind of have to have this self-awareness that if you're going to homeschool, you may not be in the best position to meet their needs. And of course, for many of us, it's just been cost prohibitive to outsource. But with this opportunity, this is tuition free. Mm-hmm. So it's one thing to just get by because you can't afford anything else, but you've removed that barrier. So can you talk a little bit about the fact that you guys are serving students, that application process, this isn't income-based or only for the select few? So can you talk a little bit about that tuition-free aspect?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a cornerstone of our program, in that we want our program to be accessible to anybody in this country that wants a high quality virtual experience. And for us to bring down the barriers, the first thing was to make sure that it was tuition free. So we're very lucky in that we can provide this tuition free model. We also include technology. If a family is in need of a laptop for their child, we'll provide that. And we provide all curriculum materials. So that's textbooks, readers. We even send home kits of supplies for science classes, so the hands-on materials that are not easily accessible at home. So we provide everything to remove those barriers to access and to help our children truly be successful. In addition to that, there are some models of education or virtual spaces where you need to pay extra to access the teacher after hours or for some additional support. And we do not have that model. Everything that we do is for free. So in the morning, when our students are in their live classes with their teachers, when they transition to the afternoon where they're working on independent tasks that are assigned by their teachers, they also have access to their teachers through office hours to get that additional support. We're seeing through our student body that's coming in, each and every one of our child is excelling in some subject areas. And then there's others where you said, Jamie, that they've got some gaps in their knowledge and learning. And that's completely normal and natural. And so we're prepared to use those office hours in the afternoons to provide that additional support to plug in those gaps and then to help enrich a child's knowledge as they grow.
Yeah, for many of the parents that we are communicating with, their children have experienced a learning loss from the pandemic. And so this is an opportunity for them to be paired with someone who can help identify that, assess that, and then be super involved, leading in that instruction and tutoring and teaching throughout the year to help them redeem the time, because I think many families are falling into that. I also love that you said that you have hired staff that has virtual expertise, because as someone who was just tutoring
Mhm.
I was tutoring students at our once a week program there in 2020 and early in 2020. And just for me to go from in person literature once a week or in person Latin once a week, and then to try to get on Zoom, it's different. Leading instruction virtually is different. And I think parents have lowered their, or have, they're raising their standard on what is acceptable because they're so frustrated with the response to the pandemic. And
Right.
so I really do think that parents are looking for something that has raised the bar. And I feel like that's what Great Minds wants to do.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And our teachers went through a very rigorous process, and we saw them teach as part of the process for recruitment in a virtual space because it's very
Mm-hmm.
different than being in the classroom. And I think it takes a very special individual to hit the right balance between being the person that's talking and providing information knowledge versus actually having the students do the heavy cognitive lift that we want them to be doing while the teacher facilitates the learning and the skill
Mm-hmm.
development. So we're really, really proud. And our teachers right now are meeting with each and every family and child this summer that have already been admitted to our program so that they get to know these students and children and families well before the first day of school. So by that time, they have a really good foundation already set for who these children are and how we're going to best support
Right.
them.
Now, we already talked a little bit about what the day looks like, but if we can flesh that out. So, morning live classes, they do need a parent or a guardian that's going to be home with them just to ensure that they're getting logged on and whatever they need, and then some of that afternoon work. So, can you add anything to that? I know we've spoken before, so I'm taking taking the lead on sharing. So, what would you add to that on what their day would look like?
Yeah, that was great, Jamie. Thank you for sharing that. So our day is very structured, especially in the morning. And I'll use the East Coast schedule as an example. So if your child is in East Coast section, they would start at 8:05 in the morning, log into Zoom, and they would go to advisory for about 20 to 30 minutes is what we have blocked off. And advisory is very similar to homeroom, where they have one or two advisors with them that stay with them for the duration of the year. And they're in a small peer group. And during that first little bit of the day, they're doing some team building activities, some culture development. They're getting to know their peers. And then their teachers are also helping them make sure that they're set up and ready for the rest of the school day. So, troubleshooting any technology, making sure work is done and ready, students knowing where their links are for all their materials, etc. So it's a vital part of our day, our morning. And then the students go through 4 classes back to back with small breaks that are 45 minutes apiece. And those are all live instruction on Zoom. So our teachers come on for their 45 minutes, work with our students, and then we switch to a different class. So every day there's always 4 live subjects. And then while we have 6 classes, we rotate them through the Monday through Friday classes. And then we have at the end of that period, it's roughly about 12 o'clock ish. We have lunch bunch, which is optional to families. So a child could go grab their lunch, come back on Zoom, and jump into lunch bunch and have lunch with their peers. And we have our school psychologist and learning strategist as a fly on the wall during lunch bunch to provide some games, options for conversation, etc. But a child could also have lunch with their family at home. So we want to provide this flexibility for families because I know so many of us have gotten used to having lunch together, which is a nice
Mm-hmm.
option. And then in the afternoon is where the independent work really happens. So the students know from their classes and from our technology postings that we do online what their work is to be done independently or potentially in peers or small groups. And then while they're working on that through the afternoon, we have a schedule ready for them where if they would like to have some math help or they have some questions about their English homework, they could jump in with their teachers and get that live support in the afternoon directly from their teacher. And then the other way around as well. So a teacher might say, today I would really like to see so-and-so, so I can provide a little bit of science support. And they would coordinate that with their parents at home so that the child knows when to jump on Zoom. And so that's our schedule, but we made sure that we provided flexibility in the afternoon. So family might decide we're not going to do our asynchronous work in the afternoon. We're going to do it in the evening. And that's up to a family to decide. One of the things that we really wanted to ensure we were addressing was because, again, of the pandemic and the virtual option, I think we've all gotten really used to having a little more flexibility, both geographically and then with our day-to-day life. And so we tried to bake that into the schedule so families could continue living the life that they want to live.
I love that. Yeah, that's the reason that we started homeschooling. My eldest was in public preschool and kindergarten, and I was like, I don't know that I love someone else making up our schedule. So I that was kind of the inspiration for us. So I love that you guys are embracing that flexibility, but you're providing sustainability and accountability for a homeschooler, if you will, that really a lot of families can benefit from. So let's talk about admissions as we're wrapping up. Where do we go to find out more and to go ahead and get an application started so that if a parent is thinking this is going to be a good fit, they're actually getting enrolled on time?
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. So our application and admission process is on our website, which we'll link, of course, as well.
Hmm.
So we have a few steps in our process, and it's really so that families get to know who we are and we get to know truly who the child is. So the first step is to reach out to us. It could be via email or could fill out an interest form, again, all on our website. Then we create about 35-minute meet and greet where we'd like to meet with the family, so any of the guardians that would like to come, as well as the child. We share about the school in this meet and greet, which is on Zoom, and we learn about the child and the family and their needs. And then from there, we send a formal link to our application, which again is all online. Parents can fill that out and then send that back to us. We review that as an admission team. And then at that point, a few things can happen. We might ask for a little additional information. So, for example, if a child has an IEP or a 504 accommodations, we might ask for that documentation to better support our process. And then from there, we make a final decision and communicate that to families via email. And then we send families that are admitted a welcome package to every single child with a handwritten note and some swag that from our school so that they can start to get excited about the first day of
That's
school.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, I'm excited to hear what this looks like for families over these next few months. I know I had some interest just yesterday, parents reaching out and saying, what do you think about Great Minds? And I think if you've got a rising sixth grader and you're able to keep your child at home this year, I think this is a great option. So thank you all for your work that you're doing at Great Minds. I'm excited even over the next few years to see how you guys really meet the children where they are and provide this option, because as I said, just getting by, I think that we've all kind of been there over the last couple of years. So I love that you guys are coming at this and saying, no, I think we can hit this mark. So we're excited. Thanks so much for sharing today, Urvi, and we will direct all the traffic with these rising sixth graders your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Jamie. Take care.
Absolutely.
Thanks.